You've landed at the 13 Moons Women's Temple podcast with your hosts, Sam and Leela.
Hi, beautiful people. Happy Tuesday or happy day, wherever it is that you are. We're going to do a little Moon Diaries report today leading up to the winter solstice. So it's a little bit of winter solstice prep and what the energy is like at the moment, what the moon energy is, and and how it is that you may be already desiring to use this time. And if you're not really too sure about it all, we'll have some ideas about ways, things that you can be doing at this time of year in the Southern Hemisphere. Hey, lovely people that are here with us. It's nice to be able to be with you this afternoon. Hi, Sam.
Hello. How are you?
Good. That's a nice top. Is it velvet, or is it just a? Oh
no, I'm a bit blurry. I might just.
You need to like give a little polish.
Sorry. It's a bit better.
Oh, there. Glowing.
Oh, hi. No, I'm. Yeah, I think I've. Yeah, I'm quite. Yeah, I'm a bit glowy today. Yeah, good. Well, here we are. It was like this afternoon moments. Would you like to do a little breath practice?
Yeah, let's just do a brief one, and then we'll just arrive. That'll be good.
Yeah. Okay. There's a really nice breath that helps to release negativity and tension. So you can just sit with your left hand resting in your right palm and the thumbs touching, and you're just going to relax, close your eyes, and just inhale for a count of 5. Exhale for 5. Hold the breath out and just gently pump the navel if it feels okay 5 times. And then inhale for 5. Exhale for 5. Pump the navel for 5. We'll just do that a few more times. Last time. Inhale deeply. Pause with the breath. And exhale.
Lovely. That's so nice. Was that like not even a minute? Was that maybe a minute?
I don't know. I think we did 6 times through. Yeah, and simple. Yeah.
So, one of the reasons we wanted to be here this week is just to touch base on the moon cycle to where we're coming up to in the phase of the moon, and then to have it's like a preparation for solstice. The energy of the solstice is gathering, and solstice occurs next Wednesday evening. So it happens at about midnight on Wednesday evening. So it crosses over that Wednesday to Thursday sort of period, and we'll be having our gathering on the Wednesday, which we'll talk about in a minute. But I thought it'd just be nice just to kind of just talk about what the energy of the moon phase is right now, because we're where are we? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're 6 days out from the new moon, which will be on Sunday. And so it's kind of like a prelude to the winter solstice, this dark of the moon energy. So we're in that final quarter where it's that time where we're acknowledging the abundance of all that we have, of all that has transpired in this moon cycle since the new moon, 3 weeks ago. It's the point where, if there's anything that you can give back in gratitude, this is really the last kind of opportunity to do that in this moon cycle. And then we come into that deep rest. And yeah, resting the psyche as the light is waning from the moon. We want to really acknowledge that. And then it's particularly dark because as we come up to the winter solstice, the light is very much we're coming up to the shortest day next week. So we're in that shadowy underworld. So anything you wanted to say about that, Sam?
Just that it's very pertinent, the timing of the new moon in relation to the procession that we're taking towards the winter solstice. So the winter solstice is also seen as the Yule time, and so this is really that time. I mean, if you're from the northern hemisphere, it's Christmas, and so that's why rather lovely down here. Lots of people do Christmas in July. Really, maybe should be June, but that's because it's really cold in July. So, but it's this point where we are experiencing the ultimate, as Leela said, it's the point where we experience the ultimate darkness. And so as we're coming into a new moon, we are feeling that sort of, it's very much, I think we're at an end of something, awaiting the beginning of something. And that's exactly what this cycle is doing for us. We are definitely coming to a closure point, and we're definitely starting to begin the process into some form of newness. And that will feel different according to what's going on in your life. But I think that more and more, many people are feeling that there is a calling to change. It sounds dramatic because I think we're always doing this, but I feel that there is a shift in perspectives enough that people are ready to make really significant shifts in the way that they're living. And even if they're not, they are having that happen. It is occurring, and they are feeling that in their everyday lives. And so one of the things that I feel we should really be recognizing with this stage of the year is that it is a time of grief and mourning. It's really the ultimate death. And it could be seen that perhaps on some scale we're experiencing an ego death in terms of, the collective. So they'll, we never, when we have a sort of ego death, as it were, it's not like you lose all your ego. But you can have an awareness of not being so attached to the ego. And that's definitely happening for a number of people collectively. And this new moon at this time, it's a time to take stock. Yes, it's a time to sit and contemplate what has happened before, but I think it's a time of grief. I think that there has to be a grieving, same as if you have a child, same as anything. You have to grieve what came before. Who was I before I had the child? Same as if we lose someone, what was my life like before? It's always that we grieve. And if we actually allow ourselves to be in those stages, we are able to move forward. The grief process only really is amplified when we ignore it. And so in the way that we just push things just down and just go, oh, I won't deal with that now, or I am superficially dealing with it, but not in a full way. I'm not allowing myself to wail or scream. You know, that's why the Middle Eastern women wail, because they actually let themselves go into grief. Whereas if you've been told not to, it's very hard to do that. And we are learning what happens when you suppress. So this is a time to maybe mourn everything that's come before. And then from there, we can start to move towards a new light, a new lightness, a new way of living. And that's why so many people right now are saying, and I'm interested in this, I've been really contemplating it. So I'd like to talk about this if you would like to, Leila. But the lots of people that I have been listening to are talking about, you know, we're really moving. People are feeling that they're no longer wanting to be in this 3D, 4D reality, and that they are experiencing this 5D reality. I really know how I feel about that, because I feel it's just loaded with expectation. But because I feel like it almost implies you should be doing that. So partly I just wanted to sort of say, I know that we've talked before many times about the 3D being the material, the now, the finite, this, and the 4D being the bridge. And then the 5D ultimately is that connection to oneness, to Christ consciousness.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this in relation to just the news reports that are coming out about the changes in AI and the chip. They want to put like the brain chip that's come out. Anyway, that's something else entirely. But the capacity of the human being, and as you were talking about, that's probably a conversation for another time. But as you were just talking about that, we have such a linear concept. No, not concept. We have such a linear. Ali's talking. Perspective of the dimensions, probably because they're numbered numerologically, 1 and then 2, and in our in the way that we understand numbers in our Western way of thinking is 1 comes first and 2 comes next and 3 comes next, and you can't get to the next number without having done the one before. And so it's like you can't attain number 5 without having crossed number 4. And I'm not sure that's entirely accurate when we're dealing with dimensions or dimensions. And I was thinking, one of the ways that we can actually, rather than feel like I haven't achieved the 4th dimension, so how can I possibly achieve the 5th dimension, rather than thinking about it in that linear kind of way, it's almost like we have to fall from the dimension that we're in to be able to realize the next layer, or to be able to see the next dimension. And even that is still a linear way that I'm explaining it, because the truth is that you're actually in all dimensions at all time. We're just in the dimensional capacity. It's whether or not we have softened the ego to the point where it's not standing in the way of our seeing the dimension for what it is. And so it's like many of us have it, and that's like a death. It's like a death to my identity, and then there's a revelation. And that is, I think, how we move from dimension to dimension. It's not that we need to go to the next one. It's actually that we need to surrender completely, and then you'll realize, oh, I've landed. I'm there, but I've always been here. I've always been here. A part of us is always in all of the dimensional experiences. It's just that we're wrapped up in, I guess maybe the rules of one of the dimensions. So the third dimension is the experience of the material plane. We're so wrapped up in the materiality of this dimension that it doesn't occur to most of us that we are also living through time and space, which is the fourth dimension. What's the way I see the fourth dimension? We're just maneuvering through time and space, but we're caught up in the materialistic way of life that we're not actually in that present moment, which is moving through space. And that's a fourth dimensional experience. We're all having it because we're all conscious of time, but we're not aware of it. And then this fifth dimensional, one of the capacities of the fifth dimension, the way that it's been taught to me, is that it's when we really recognize the unity that comes through that unconditional love connection. And that's available to all of us at any time. It's just how caught up in the material plane are we, and not in the present moment, to be able to experience that unconditional connection. And yeah, so, and it's like the path of the initiate is to learn how to die a death every second, and each time a moment passes, that's the completion, and that is a death. And then there's a fall, and then you realize it's a new reality
without attaching to the one that came before.
Yeah.
But that's, I mean, I agree. It's not linear. And I think that the 3D, 4D, 5D keeps people trapped in a concept of thinking they have to go through a process, rather than realizing that there is no process. That was made up, because it was. And so in order for us to actually find this way, which I feel is what this journey of winter solstice is really about, we have to still the mind and still the noise and still the endless chatter, and realize that we're not that, and that actually then we can just, find that true sense of freedom. But I feel like that requires actually quite a lot of letting go. And it's actually quite sad. It's quite if you were to think that we have forgotten in the journey of coming here and being born into this body, we forgot the glorious nature of who we truly are. It was like we've forgotten. And as we start to wake up to it, it's like it's almost like finding the mother you never knew you had, or the father, or just having the greatest realization. And then there's a process where you go, but I've just missed all this. And that point is what we're in now, is the point of saying, I actually, I've all that time that has passed, whilst it was exactly as it was meant to be, now it's like a brand new day is dawning, and it's an opportunity to move forward, but in it there will be that sadness. And I think that's what this new moon and this process and towards the winter solstice is really all about. Much the same as losing a loved one. Which doesn't sound like much of a celebration, which is okay. Because it's...
Sorry, what were you going to say?
But the celebration, you know, the celebration is actually the return to the light, to love, to the Christ consciousness, to the remembering of the fact that we are all connected as one. And that really is the glimmer of light that returns it as we switch through the winter solstice. It's that light.
Yeah. And on the, I just want to show you this. She's heckling me. If you've been following these points on an annular cycle, so if you began with us in the spring equinox when we held our spring equinox gathering, which we have been now for many years, this is, and there were intentions that were set at that spring equinox, and then the summer solstice was the coming to light, the full fruition of those intentions. This is the point where very slowly you get to, well, it's like we were talking the other week, send it to the compost. We get to send everything that you thought you wanted to do, you thought you wanted to manifest, you thought you wanted to bring into creation, all of that. You know, some of that will have come to light, definitely. And that point for celebrating that was through the harvest. And now this is the point of taking all that is left over, all that hasn't come to light, and all that has, and returning it back to the soil like a burial. Yeah. I'm just gonna let my dog outside. Hang on. You can keep talking.
We're not some of us won't even be the same person. So we will have set these intentions. I was contemplating this. We will have set these intentions at, you know, at the spring equinox, and we'd have had these great ideas for what it is that we want to bring into fruition. And we're actually just not, we don't have the same desires. It's very common. And I think the rate in which we are experiencing evolution within ourselves and as a collective right now, it's so fast. Everything is moving so fast. And the way that the astrology is right now and is continuing to go, it's actually just going to go faster. It's going to go so fast that we're not going to be able to keep up. It's like all the prophecies that were in the teachings of Kundalini Yoga are literally just, it's right now. Everything is going to come zooming at us. Like Leela was saying, they're going to be saying, stick a chip in your head, do this, do that, we can do this, you know, you can heal yourself with energy. That is all going to just take off. And it's going to be so fast that some of us will be like, oh, you know, I don't even know who I am. And so that's part of it. You might not know who you are in relation to who you were a year ago. And partly that's the point that we're in. As a collective, do we actually know who we are in relation to who we were? And I think even if we do right now, in the next couple of years, we're unlikely to know ourselves. So those of us who think we're grappling with, oh, I can just stay afloat with what's happening with the technology and the way it's going and I'll be okay, that's going to just so fast. And that sounds overwhelming. And ultimately it is overwhelming. You know, we talk about free will. Free will is actually our capacity to discern, our capacity to be able to sit and really discern the information that we have. And it is going to be a real lesson or a real journey, a real experience for us to be able to discern what we believe is the right thing for us to do, because we'll be bombarded with a lot of people telling us what we should be doing. And I'm not saying that to say, oh, we should definitely not do AI, we should definitely not do this. at all. I'm just, because things are coming, but it's actually, how do you hold yourself in that? How do you still your mind? So if you're already currently struggling with stilling your mind, imagine like a tenfold energy of increased information overload. And I feel like this is one of the things that is challenging so many people right now, is just so many options, so many choices, so many, you know, methods of getting information. And we need to really practice discernment. And so, yeah, the first thing might be that at this time of the year, you need to know who you were. And that could be that you've gone through great loss during this year. It could be that you've had great celebration. You could have become a married woman, having been a single woman. You could have become a mother, having not been a mother. You could now have a big corporate job, having previously not had a job. There are many other things. It's not just that you may have lost someone or you have lost something. Even the celebration creates a loss of identity. And so partly this is the phase that we're in. And it is ultimately about really sitting in the presence of the darkness and the crone energy. No one ever wants to talk about that. They don't want to talk about the crone. They don't want to talk about it. No, just deny it. It's not going to happen. Well, probably with technology, it won't happen for a lot longer, but it's going to happen. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't matter how we look at it. People are not going to live forever straight away. Anyway, I did read a thing saying that they were starting to, you know, freeze bodies for when they can, for the future, when we'll be able to bring them back. I was like, wow, here we go. It's all starting to happen. So this sounds a little bit futuristic, and that's important because we are heading into that time. That's what the Aquarian age is. It's a futuristic age. And we are balancing a futuristic age with a state of oneness. How do we live completely open-hearted, pure of heart, in a state of oneness, and also cope with these extremes of tech? That's why understanding vibrational medicine is going to become so important. That's why understanding creating and nourishing, supportive hearth and home is going to be the key to supporting your own and your family's nervous system. It's these tools that we can control that. We can control the home that we're in. We can control the way that we speak to our family members. We can control the way that we carry out rituals that help to center us and support us. And it's in coming together and gathering as women that we can actually find solace in a way of co-regulation with each other, be with like-minded people, and be able to talk wildly like this and feel seen, actually seen. It's the best thing for our nervous systems. And so actually, this week leading up to the new moon, it is about that. As we come into the dark of the moon, it's about being in the dark. Like, just let yourself be in the dark. Go outside in the dark. Sit outside in the dark. That would be the best practice to do. Spend some time each evening this week just going to your family. I'll be back in a few minutes. I'm just going to go and have a moment outside, and just go outside into the dark and just sit there and notice how it makes you feel. If it makes you feel uncomfortable, if you feel cold, if you feel nervous, if you feel scared, actually sit with everything that you're feeling. If it makes you feel sad, what does it make you feel like? Maybe you feel relief. Just be in the darkness and recognize what the gift of the darkness is for you. Then you'll be able to see the gift of the light. So as we come towards this new moon, sit in that. Look at what's dying in your garden. Look at the leaves. Gather greenery that reflects this time of year, and make a gentle seasonal altar that reflects it. Place a black candle on your altar at the center of your table, people will be like, what are you doing? Why would you do that? It's everyone that it's this time of year. And you can do a green candle too if you want to, if you don't want to go black, but black is good. And if you really want to, you could put a black candle and a white candle next to each other. That's really perfect. But just sit in the reflection of it. I have to feel this to know what the other can be. Mm.
Mm. Yes. And if you're on the Venus gateway journey with us, or if you've been just following along with us from the moon circle perspective even, we're coming into the end of this gateway season where it's been activated at the third eye. And so we're practicing right now the true knowing without the infiltration of the thoughts. We're practicing that true sight without the influence of the eyeballs. You know, we're practicing this true capacity to be able to completely, fully, and totally understand your environment through all of your senses. And in that third eye.
Yeah. See the unseen, know the unknown.
And this is very deep, because as we come through this new moon, and then the first light excuse me, of the new moon will activate the next Venus gateway, which is going to be the full realization at the crown. And just the magnificence of the timing of all of this is it's all culminating within 3 days of the new moon, the Venus gateway, the winter solstice. So
yes, so just that. So that's like, I mean, and I know we were talking about this a bit earlier, but if we're just going to talk about it in, biblical terms, that's like Jesus died and then Jesus rises again. And that happened those 3 days later. And so we are going through that process. That's exactly this. That's really powerful to see. So it's like the aspect is dying. That aspect is dying. And that aspect is, if you think about what Jesus represented, he said that I will die for all of you. I will give my life for all of you. And this is it. If we want to experience a state of oneness, we actually have to learn how to be in that level of service for each other. I love you so much. I love you so much that I will lay down my life for you, knowing that from that I will experience ultimate reconnection with it all. I return knowing that I have served fully. Without the ego saying I have to do that so that someone will do a big plaque for me or something. I don't know. That I'll write a whole book about it.
I'll get a public holiday.
Jesus didn't want that. He didn't ask for that. I don't think he asked at any point in his teaching. So I'm not that this is about Jesus, but it just brings to mind that concept. It's that journey. It's really powerful, actually.
Well, it is. And that's the, yeah. And that is the sacred, the sacred geometric mandala of the universe. This story plays out in reality, and then it plays out again across cultures, across timelines, and that is just the mandala effect of this magnificent reality, that because we can experience the third dimension in the way that we do, we can see the pattern of the architecture of this universe and the influence that we have, because we can set intention into it. It's pretty cool. Yes.
Anyway, so maybe one way to contemplate, even though we're not going to do the linear, is to see that this new moon is the capacity for us to really see the three dimensional world for what it is. And then we have this movement between those days where we can have an experience of the journey through the different places of the dimensions. And then if we are open to it, this solstice is the gateway. It's the portal. It's the actual opening of this new way of living. People keep talking about this, but it is this.
And I think too, it's the rebirth, but it's your rebirth. So you're only going to have the rebirth that is for you and that you are the designer of. None of this is an accident. It's not like we go through the rebirth, the birth canal, accidentally wondering where I'm going to end up. There is an architecture to it, and it all comes from how it is that you can let go, how it is that you die is going to create the next gateway for how it is that you're reborn. And that's why we practice Kundalini yoga on these days, because we're very powerfully working with those tantric lines of energy to clear the karma and to charge the nervous system. Yeah, I think I have to go and get my kids from school.
Go and get your kids from school.
So if you want to be with us, there is a new moon circle on Monday evening. What's the date of that? The 19th. And then the Venus Gateway session will be held on Wednesday morning, the 21st.
Wednesday afternoon.
And then Wednesday afternoon, yes, we are going to adjust the time for that, but we'll let you know. And then we have our home witch school winter solstice gathering on Wednesday evening. And so you can join us for all of those amazing things, or one of them, and everything is recorded and is available afterwards if you can't make it in person. So yeah, we would love to see you there. Sending you all so much love.
Satnam.
Satnam.
Take care. Have a nice rest of your day.
Thank you. You too. Bye.
Thank you for taking the time to be with us on this podcast episode. These are sound bites and conversations about things we think are important to support the collective ascension towards more love, acceptance, hope, and harmony on the planet Earth. Together we can continue to support each other through conversations that need to be held. If you've enjoyed this episode, please do share it with your people. We would love it if you subscribe to our channel and even rate the podcast if you feel called to. You can also find us and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Spotify just by searching the 13 Moons Women's Temple.